Earth has changed. Not in the ways predicted by the 21st century futurists with their flying cars and utopian cities, but in ways far more profound and terrifying. Humanity stands at a precipice. Though most of the 8 billion souls inhabiting this planet remain blissfully unaware of the chasm beneath their feet. In the vast expanse of Antarctica, where temperatures plunge to levels that can freeze exposed flesh in seconds, something ancient has awakened. Something that should have remained buried forever. Dr. Arya Volkov stares at the readouts, her breath crystallizing in the frigid air of the research station. The seismic activity is unprecedented, regular, rhythmic, almost deliberate. For 3 weeks her team has recorded these patterns emanating from deep beneath the ice shelf. 3 weeks of increasing intensity that defies every geological explanation she knows. Another one, murmurs her colleague, Dr. James Holloway, his weathered face etched with concern. Same interval, same magnitude, same impossible precision. Aurea nods, her gloved fingers tracing the waveform on the tablet. It's not natural, she says, stating what they've both been thinking for weeks. Nothing in nature is this mathematical. Outside the reinforced windows of Vostok Station, the Antarctic night stretches eternal, the aurora australis painting the darkness in ethereal greens and purples. A spectacle that once inspired awe now feels like a harbinger. The ice groans under mysterious pressures, sounds that resonate with an unsettling regularity. Transmissions are ready, James says, adjusting his thermal gear. If the board doesn't respond this time, they'll respond, Arya cuts in. Though she doesn't believe it herself. The International Antarctic Research Board has dismissed their concerns twice already, attributing the readings to equipment malfunction or previously unknown glacial activity. But the third set of data, collected with brand new triple-calibrated instruments, is undeniable. Something is moving beneath the ice. Something massive. Something organized. In the depths where no human has ever ventured, something ancient stirs. The entity known as SCI-FI communicates not with sound or light, but with vibrations that travel through the frozen medium of its long prison. Millennia. It has waited, dormant but aware, its consciousness expanding through the ice like a slow-growing crystalline structure. The surface dwellers have detected us. Pulses through the collective consciousness. Their primitive instruments register our awakening. Another consciousness responds, this one sharper, more aggressive. They are fragile. Their biology cannot withstand what is coming. The Great Migration approaches. The prophets spoke of this cycle. A third voice interjects. This one tinged with something almost resembling regret. The Great Cleansing. The harvest. SCI-FI extends its awareness upward, sensing the heat signatures of the human installation above. So small, so temporary. Their lives flicker like brief candles against the eternal darkness of space. We have waited long enough, SCI-FI pulses, the decision rippling through the collective. Begin the phase transition. Prepare for emergence. Deep beneath the ice, something begins to change. Something that will alter the course of human history forever. 3,000 miles north in the scorching heat of the Atacama Desert, Major Eva Rustafa stands before a bank of monitors displaying data from the most advanced observatory on Earth. The ALMA array has been detecting anomalies for weeks. Strange energy patterns originating from the southern polar regions, patterns that defy conventional physics. Anything new? Asks her second-in-command, Captain Alejandro Rivera, his voice betraying the exhaustion they all feel. Eva shakes her head, her military bearing barely concealing her frustration. Same patterns, growing stronger. Whatever's happening in Antarctica, it's not staying contained. The military presence at the observatory is unofficial, deniable but absolute. For 6 months they've been tracking what they call anomalous energy signatures, emanating from the polar regions, signatures that coincide with the seismic disturbances reported by the research stations. The president wants answers, Rivera says, checking his encrypted tablet. The UN Security Council is calling an emergency session. The Russians are moving naval assets toward the Southern Ocean. They're not the only ones, Eva replies, her gaze fixed on a monitor showing satellite imagery. Chinese icebreakers have altered course. British research vessels have been recalled. The entire world is holding its breath, though no one yet knows why. Should we alert the public? Rivera asks, though he already knows the answer. Eva turns from the monitors, her expression hardening. And tell them what? That we're detecting energy patterns that shouldn't exist. That the ground beneath the Antarctic ice is moving in ways that violate everything we know about geophysics. They'd call us mad, or they'd panic, Rivera counters. Panic is better than ignorance. Not when the panic is premature, Eva says firmly. Not when we don't know what we're facing. As if in response to her words, an alarm blares through the facility. Red lights flash across the control room as technicians scramble to identify the source. What is it? Eva demands, already moving toward the primary display. The technician looks up, his face pale. It's Antarctica, Major. All stations are offline, simultaneously. Eva's blood runs cold. All of them? Every single one, the technician confirms. At exactly 0317 GMT, complete communication blackout. Rivera swears under his breath, that's not equipment failure. That's coordinated. Eva stares at the blank screens where Antarctic data should be flowing. The silence from the southern continent is more terrifying than any alarm. For 3 decades, the research stations have maintained constant communication with the outside world. For all of them to go dark at once, get me the Joint Chiefs, she orders, her voice cutting through the controlled chaos of the room. Now, in the frozen darkness, Arya Volkov struggles to her feet, the emergency lights casting eerie shadows across the ruined research station. The explosion, or whatever it was, had thrown her across the room. Around her, colleagues groan and stir, some moving, some not. What happened? James asks, his face streaked with blood from a gash on his forehead. Before Arya can answer, the ground trembles again, this time with a violence that sends equipment crashing to the floor. Through the reinforced window, something impossible is happening. The ice is breaking apart, not in random fractures, but in geometric patterns, as if something massive is pushing through from below. My God, Arya whispers, pressing her face against the cold glass. She cannot finish, for there are no words for what she sees. The ice splits in perfect spirals, revealing darkness beneath, and from that darkness, something begins to emerge. Something that reflects the emergency lights with a metallic sheen that no natural formation could possess. The station's emergency transmitter crackles to life. A voice distorted by panic and interference. Mayday, 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 this is McMurdo Station. We are under attack. I repeat, we are under. The transmission cuts off in a burst of static. Arya turns to James, her scientific mind struggling to process the impossible. We need to get to the communications array, we need to warn. Her words are cut short as the main door to the station buckles inward, torn from its hinges by an unseen force. Cold air rushes in, far colder than the Antarctic winter should be. Cold that carries with it a scent, something metallic, ancient, and utterly alien. From the darkness outside, shapes move. Not human shapes, not animal shapes. Something else entirely. Arya backs away, her heart pounding in her chest. She has spent her life studying the frozen continent, believing she understood its secrets, but as the first of the figures steps into the emergency lighting, she realizes how wrong she was, how utterly, terrifyingly wrong. The figure is tall, impossibly so, with limbs that bend at angles that defy biology. Its surface seems to shift between solid and liquid, reflecting light in ways that hurt the eyes. Where a face should be, there is only a smooth expanse that somehow conveys intelligence and something else. Something that feels like contempt. As more of the figures fill the doorway, Arya presses herself against the console, her scientific curiosity overwhelmed by primal terror. These beings move with purpose, with coordination. They are not exploring. They are not investigating. They are claiming. One of the beings turns toward her, and though it has no eyes, she knows it sees her, knows it recognizes her as something lesser, something insignificant. And in that moment of recognition, Dr. Arya Volkov, scientist and explorer, understands the terrible truth. Humanity is not alone in the universe, and we are not welcome. From orbit, the International Space Station provides a view that no one on Earth can comprehend. Commander Yuki Tanaka stares at the monitor, her breath caught in her throat. The thermal imaging of Antarctica shows something impossible, patterns of heat spreading across the ice in geometric formations that grow with impossible speed. Houston, this is ISS, she says, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. We're tracking thermal anomalies across Antarctica. Multiple locations. The patterns, they're expanding. The response from mission control is delayed, filled with static that shouldn't exist. ISS, this is Houston. We're experiencing interference. Please repeat your last. As Yuki prepares to respond, another alarm sounds. Not from the station's systems, but from the external sensors. What is that? Asks her crewmate, Dr. Mikhail Petrov, pointing at the screen. Something is rising from the atmosphere. Not just from Antarctica, but from multiple locations across the globe. Objects that move with impossible speed and acceleration, defying the laws of physics as humanity understands them. Houston, Yuki says, her voice tight with urgency. We have multiple launches, unidentified, originating from everywhere. The crew watches in stunned silence as the objects ascend, leaving trails of ionized atmosphere in their wake. They don't move like rockets or aircraft. They move like thought given form, instantly changing direction, accelerating beyond any known technology. They're heading to orbit, Mikhail whispers, his face pale in the monitor's glow. All of them. Yuki's mind races, trying to process the impossible data. These objects, dozens, perhaps hundreds of them, are moving with a coordination that suggests a single intelligence. A single purpose. Houston, she says again, her voice barely audible. I think we're looking at an invasion. Before Houston can respond, the station shudders violently. Alarms blare as emergency systems engage. We've been hit, Mikhail shouts, grabbing for a handhold. External hull breach in Module 3. Yuki struggles to stabilize herself as the station continues to shake. Through the viewport, she sees what caused the damage. One of the ascending objects has altered course, moving directly toward them. It's close enough now to see details. Close enough to recognize that it's not a vehicle, not a machine. It's alive, and it's coming for them. In the depths of the Pentagon's Situation Room, General Marcus Thorne watches the chaos unfold across a dozen screens. Antarctic research stations offline. The ISS damaged and barely maintaining life support. Unidentified objects appearing in orbit around the planet. Report, he barks, his voice cutting through the controlled panic of the room. A young analyst looks up from his console, his face pale. Sir, we've lost contact with all Antarctic installations. The ISS reports hull damage from what they describe as biological entities. We're tracking approximately 300 objects now in low Earth orbit and more rising from the surface. Thorne's jaw tightens. Origin points? Everywhere, sir. Antarctica, the Sahara, Siberia, the Amazon, the Pacific Ocean floor. It's like they were already here, waiting. The president's voice comes through the secure line, tight with tension. Marcus, what the hell is going on? Thorne takes a breath, choosing his words carefully. Mr. President, we appear to be experiencing a coordinated global event, non-human in origin, hostile in nature. There's silence on the line for a moment. Then how long until they reach populated areas? Thorne looks at the analyst, who shakes his head grimly. They're already there, Mr. President. We just couldn't see them. In the Atacama Desert, Eva Rostova watches as one of the objects descends from orbit, moving with impossible grace. It doesn't fall, it controls its descent, slowing as it approaches the ground, landing silently in the desert 100 meters from the observatory. Seal the facility, she orders. Her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Activate defense protocols. All personnel to armed positions. As her team scrambles to follow orders, Eva studies the object through high-powered binoculars. It's not a craft, not in any conventional sense. It seems to be made of the same material as the beings Arya Volkov had encountered in Antarctica, a substance that shifts between solid and liquid, reflecting the desert sun in ways that defy optics. Captain, she says, lowering the binoculars. Your thoughts? Rivera checks his weapon, his movements economical and precise. They didn't attack immediately. They're observing, testing, or waiting, Eva counters. Waiting for something, as if in response to her words. The object begins to change. It unfolds, Not like mechanical parts but like something organic, something alive. What emerges is tall, slender, and utterly alien, its limbs bend at impossible angles, its surface shimmering between states of matter. And then it speaks, not with sound but directly into their minds. A voice that feels like ice and electricity. Ancient and utterly inhuman. We are the Zalathna. We have returned to what was once ours. Your presence is temporary. Your extinction is inevitable. Eva grits her teeth against the mental intrusion, reaching for the neural dampener that all military personnel in sensitive positions have been equipped with. The device helps, but doesn't completely block the intrusion. Around the room, soldiers clutch their heads, some crying out in pain. The telepathic communication is overwhelming for unshielded minds. Fire at will, Eva orders, her voice cutting through the chaos. The first bullets strike the being, and pass through it as if it were made of smoke. The being doesn't flinch, doesn't react. It simply stands there, its contempt for their weapons palpable even through the mental shield. Your primitive projectiles cannot harm us. The voice echoes in their minds. Your technology is inadequate. Your biology is fragile. Eva watches as more objects descend from the sky, landing at precise points around the observatory. They're being surrounded, encircled. Fall back to the underground facility, she commands. Activate the emergency broadcast. Let the world know what's happening. As her team retreats, Eva takes one last look at the alien being. It has begun to change again, its form shifting, adapting, preparing. They're not here to talk, she says to Rivera, as they hurry down the reinforced corridor. They're here to exterminate. Rivera nods, his expression grim. Then we give them a war. From the alien perspective, the humans' resistance is almost amusing. Their primitive weapons, their frantic communications, their desperate attempts to organize, it all seems so futile to the Zalthana consciousness that has observed Earth for millennia. They communicate with electromagnetic waves, pulses through the collective. So inefficient, so limited. Their biology is fascinating. Another consciousness responds, so fragile, yet so adaptable. They thrive in environments that would kill most species. They are a temporary anomaly, insists the military consciousness of the collective. Their presence on this world is an error we are now correcting. The prophets spoke of their resistance. A third consciousness interjects, of their capacity for what they call hope. Hope is irrelevant. The military consciousness responds. The Great Migration approaches. This world must be prepared. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, the Xylothna hive stirs. For thousands of years they have waited, dormant, but aware. The time of waiting is over. The time of cleansing has begun. In the reinforced bunker beneath the Atacamaba Observatory, Eva Rostova watches as the emergency broadcast system comes online. Around the world, similar messages are being transmitted from military installations, research facilities, and government buildings. To all who receive this message, she begins, her voice steady despite the chaos outside. We are under attack, not from another nation, not from human conflict, but from non-human intelligence. These beings, these Zalthana, are hostile. They are organized. They are technologically superior. She pauses, choosing her next words carefully. Do not attempt to negotiate. Do not assume peaceful intentions. Resist, fight, survive. As the message transmits, Eva looks at the monitors showing the situation outside. The alien beings have surrounded the facility, their forms shifting and changing. They're preparing for something final. They're coming through, Rivera reports from the security monitors. The walls, they're not stopping them. Eva watches in disbelief as the alien forms pass through solid matter as if it weren't there. Their technology, or biology, has overcome physical barriers that should have been impenetrable. Fall back to the last line of defense, she orders, her hand resting on the detonator that will destroy the facility and everything in it. If we can't stop them, we'll make them pay for every inch. As the first alien form materializes inside the bunker, Eva makes a decision, not just for herself, but for humanity. She presses the detonator, not to destroy the facility, but to trigger the emergency beacon that will activate humanity's last resort, the Omega Protocol. Around the world, similar beacons activate. In secret bunkers, in hidden silos, in remote installations, Systems come online that have never been used. Systems designed for a scenario that no one truly believed would happen. Humanity's response to the alien invasion begins not with negotiation but with the cold calculus of survival. The Xylith now may have technology beyond human comprehension, but they have underestimated one crucial factor. Humans are survivors. We are adapters. We are innovators, and we fight back. As the alien form advances toward her, Eva Rostova smiles. "You may have the advantage now," she says, knowing the being can understand her. "But you've made one critical mistake." The alien pauses, its featureless face somehow conveying curiosity. "You've pissed off humanity," Eva says. "And we hold grudges." The alien lunges, and Eva's world goes dark. But as consciousness fades, she knows her action has triggered something that will change the course of this war. The Omega Protocol is active, and the Zothna are about to learn what happens when humans are pushed to the brink. The war for Earth has begun. 3 months have passed since the emergence, as humanity now calls it. 3 months of chaos, destruction, and desperate resistance. The Xylothna have established footholds across the globe, their geometric structures rising from the ground like crystalline growths, transforming Earth's landscape into something alien and hostile. In what remains of Buenos Aires, Dr. Elena Morales works frantically in the underground laboratory, her fingers flying across holographic interfaces as she analyzes the alien technology recovered from the first encounter. Around her, the remnants of Argentina's scientific community collaborate with military engineers, their shared purpose transcending national boundaries. "The frequency modulation is the key," Elena mutters, adjusting parameters with surgical precision. "They're using quantum entanglement for communication, but the carrier wave has a weakness." General Roberto Diaz watches over her shoulder, his uniform dusty from the constant movement between resistance cells. "A weakness we can exploit." Elena nods without looking up. Their communication network is decentralized but synchronized. "If we can introduce the right harmonic disruption, we can create confusion. Chaos. Chaos is good," Diaz says, a grim smile touching his lips. "Chaos gives us opportunities." The laboratory door slides open, revealing Captain Kim Young-soo, his face etched with exhaustion, but his eyes burning with determination. The Xylothna are moving again. Larger groups this time. Coordinated. Elena finally looks up from her work, her expression concerned. "Where?" "Everywhere," Kim replies. "It's like they're preparing for something. A phase transition of some kind." Diaz turns to the holographic map displaying Xylothna movements across South America. They're consolidating their positions, abandoning smaller outposts, or eliminating them, Elena suggests, her scientific mind analyzing the patterns. "They're adapting to our resistance, learning." "Then we need to learn faster," Diaz says firmly. "How long until your disruption device is ready?" Elena checks her calculations, her brow furrowed in concentration. 24 hours? Maybe less if we can stabilize the power matrix. "Make it 12, Diaz orders. Intelligence suggests they're targeting the remaining population centers. "We need to disrupt their coordination before the next wave begins." As Kim returns to his post, Elena turns back to her work, her mind racing. The alien technology is unlike anything humanity has ever encountered. It operates on principles that seem to defy the laws of physics as understood by human science. But there are patterns, weaknesses, and where there are weaknesses, there are opportunities. From the Xylothna perspective, the human resistance is an unexpected variable. The prophets had spoken of their adaptability, their capacity for what humans call desperation, but the reality has exceeded even those ancient predictions. The harmonic disruption is increasing, pulses through the collective consciousness. Their primitive technology is affecting our synchronization. "It is temporary," responds the military consciousness. "Their methods are crude. Their understanding of quantum mechanics is rudimentary, yet they persist." Another consciousness interjects, this one tinged with something resembling frustration. "They should have been eliminated by now. The Great Migration approach. The humans have a resilience we did not anticipate." The first consciousness admits, their biology is fragile, but their will to survive is formidable. Formidable but futile. The military consciousness insists. "Begin Phase 2. accelerate the terraforming process. Deep within their crystalline structures, the Zelithna initiate changes that will alter Earth's atmosphere, making it more suitable for their biology while rendering it toxic to humans. The process is gradual but irreversible, a silent, invisible weapon that will achieve what direct confrontation has not. In the Sahara Desert, where temperatures soar to levels that would kill most organisms, Captain Nadia Al-Jamil leads her specialized team across the dunes. The desert has become an unlikely battleground, its extreme conditions providing some protection against the alien technology, which seems to function less efficiently in extreme heat and dryness. Status report, Nadia says, her voice barely above a whisper as they crest a dune overlooking an alien structure. Her second in command, Sergeant Thomas Wright, checks his scanner. The structure is active. Energy readings off the charts. No visible movement. Nadia adjusts the thermal imaging on her scope, studying the crystalline formation that rises from the sand like a bizarre growth. They're harvesting solar energy, converting it to something else. Something we can stop? Wright asks, already checking his specialized equipment. Nadia nods slowly. The heat interference is affecting their systems. If we can amplify the disruption, we might be able to overload their energy matrix, or piss them off, Wright mutters, though he's already preparing the device. Nadia smiles grimly. At this point, pissing them off is a bonus. As her team sets up the harmonic resonance device, Nadia thinks about how much has changed in 3 months. She was a climate scientist studying desertification when the invasion began. Now she leads a resistance cell composed of scientists, soldiers and survivors who have found unexpected strength in the harshest environments on Earth. The device is ready, reports Dr. Aisha Okonkwo, her fingers flying across the control interface. It's initiating harmonic resonance in 3, 2. The air shimmers around the alien structure as the device activates. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the crystalline formation begins to vibrate, emitting a high-pitched sound that makes teeth ache. It's working, Wright says, his eyes fixed on the structure. Their energy field is destabilizing. Before they can celebrate, the ground trembles beneath them. From the sand around the alien structure, figures emerge, tall, slender, and utterly alien. But these are different from the ones they've encountered before. These seem adapted to the desert environment, their forms shifting to blend with the heat haze. Fall back, Nadia orders, though she knows it may be too late. Activate the secondary protocol. As her team retreats across the dunes, the desert Zelithna move with impossible speed, their forms flowing through the sand as if it were water. These beings have adapted. They're learning too fast, Ayesha says, her voice tight with fear as she struggles to keep up with the retreat. Nadia glances back, her heart pounding. The alien beings are closing the distance, their movements unnaturally fluid. They're not just learning, she says, realization dawning. They're evolving, adapting to our resistance. As if in response to her words, one of the beings lunges forward, its form extending like liquid metal. Wright shoves Nadia aside, taking the full force of the attack. His scream is cut short as the alien's form envelops him, dissolving his body in seconds. The team freezes in horror, watching as their comrade is consumed. The desert Zelithna turns toward them, its form somehow conveying satisfaction. Your resistance is futile, echoes in their minds, the telepathic communication stronger than before. Your adaptations are temporary. Ours are eternal. Nadia forces herself to move, to think past the terror. The device, she gasps. Overload it. Ayesha understands immediately, her fingers flying across her tablet. The feedback loop will create an EMP. It'll fry our equipment too. Better than being dissolved, Nadia shouts as she helps another fallen team member to their feet. As the alien beings advance, Isha initiates the overload. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the air crackles with energy as the harmonic resonance device explodes in a shower of sparks. The resulting electromagnetic pulse washes across the desert, temporarily disabling the alien beings. They freeze in place, their forms flickering between solid and liquid states, confused, disoriented. Now, Nadia yells, leading her team away from the disabled aliens. Move! As they retreat across the dunes, Nadia risks a look back, The alien beings are recovering, their forms stabilizing faster than she expected. But they've bought time, learned something crucial. The Zeklithna can be hurt, can be stopped, but they're also learning, adapting, evolving. And the war has only just begun. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, where sunlight never reaches, something ancient stirs. The Zalithna consciousness that has remained dormant for millennia awakens, responding to the signals from its brethren on the surface. The oceanic Zalithna are different from their terrestrial counterparts, adapted to the extreme pressures and darkness of the abyss. The surface resistance is stronger than anticipated, pulses through the oceanic collective. The humans' primitive technology is proving unexpectedly effective. Their biology is adaptable, responds the deep consciousness. They thrive in environments that should be hostile to them. This requires reconsideration. The Great Migration cannot be delayed, insists another consciousness. The cosmic alignment approaches. This world must be prepared. Then we must accelerate our own adaptation. The deep consciousness decides. Begin the conversion process. Transform the oceans to our needs. Throughout the world's oceans, changes begin. Microscopic organisms released by the Zaltnana multiply exponentially, altering the chemical composition of seawater. The process is subtle at first, almost undetectable, but it's relentless, irreversible. The terraforming of Earth continues on multiple fronts, a silent, invisible war that humanity is only beginning to comprehend. In the Rocky Mountains, where the resistance has established its primary command center, General Diaz studies the holographic maps displaying the global situation. Red indicators show Zylik, the positions and movements. Blue markers indicate human resistance cells. The red is spreading. The blue is shrinking. The oceanic conversion is accelerating, reports Dr. Morales, her expression grim. Marine ecosystems are collapsing. The Zaltna are transforming the oceans into something compatible with their biology. Diaz nods slowly, his mind calculating possibilities. And the atmospheric changes? Worse, Elena admits. Oxygen levels are dropping. Carbon dioxide and other compounds toxic to humans are increasing. If we don't stop this process within 6 months, Earth won't be habitable for human life. The implications hang in the air like a death sentence. The Zalithna aren't just conquering Earth. They're terraforming it, transforming it into a world where humans cannot survive. They're not just invaders, Diaz realizes, his voice barely above a whisper. They're exterminators, replacing us. Elena nods, her scientific detachment failing to conceal her fear. Their technology operates on principles we're only beginning to understand, but their methods, they're systematic, thorough. The command center door slides open, revealing Captain Kim, his face etched with urgency. We've intercepted something, a communication between Zalithna nodes. Diaz turns to face him. Can we translate it? Partially, Kim admits, bringing up a waveform analysis on the main display. Their language is complex, multi-layered, but certain terms are repeating, patterns are emerging. Elena moves to the display, her scientific curiosity overriding her exhaustion. Show me the frequency modulation. Kim adjusts the display, isolating specific waveforms. This term appears frequently. We think it might refer to their homeworld or species. Elena studies the patterns, her mind working. It's not just a term, it's a concept. Complex, with multiple layers of meaning. Can you simplify it? Diaz asks, his patience wearing thin. Elena hesitates, choosing her words carefully. The closest approximation would be inheritors, or perhaps reclaimers. They don't see themselves as invaders. They see themselves as taking back what was already theirs. The implications are staggering. The Zalithna invasion isn't an act of aggression in their minds. It's reclamation, restoration. There's more, Kim continues, bringing up another waveform pattern. This term appears in conjunction with references to a cosmic event, something they call the Great Migration. Diaz studies the patterns, though they mean little to him. A migration of what? Of them, Elena realizes, her eyes widening in understanding. All of them. This isn't just an invasion force. It's the advance party. The entire species is migrating to Earth. The revelation hits Diaz like a physical blow. Humanity isn't fighting an invasion. It's fighting replacement, extermination, replacement on a planetary scale. How long, he asks, his voice tight with urgency. Until the main migration arrives? Kim checks the calculations, his expression grim. Based on our interpretation of their temporal references, approximately 1 Earth year. 1 year. Humanity has 1 year to prevent its own extinction. Diaz looks around the command center, at the faces of the people fighting this impossible war. Scientists, soldiers, survivors from every nation, united by a common threat. They've lost so much already. Sacrificed so many, but they haven't lost yet. Contact all resistance cells. Diaz orders, his voice ringing with determination. Initiate Operation Phoenix. It's time to show the Zylthana what happens when you back humanity into a corner. As his team scrambles to follow orders, Diaz allows himself a moment of private reflection. They're fighting an enemy with technology beyond human comprehension, with resources that seem limitless, with the advantage of millennia of preparation. But they've underestimated one crucial factor. The same factor that has allowed humans to survive and thrive in every environment on Earth: adaptability. Innovation. The refusal to accept extinction. Operation Phoenix is humanity's last resort, a desperate gamble that could either turn the tide of the war or ensure humanity's destruction. As the plan is set in motion across the globe, Diaz allows himself a moment of hope. Not the naive hope of peacetime, but the hardened, desperate hope of those who have nothing left to lose. The Zylthana may have the advantage now, but they've made one critical mistake. They've underestimated humanity, and that mistake will cost them everything. From the Zylthana perspective, the humans' latest actions are puzzling. Their resistance cells are coordinating in ways that defy their primitive communication methods. Their attacks are becoming more sophisticated, more targeted. The humans are accessing our communication network, pulses through the collective. Their understanding of our technology is accelerating. Impossible, responds the military consciousness. Their biology cannot comprehend quantum mechanics at the required level. Yet they are attempting something, the first consciousness insists. A coordinated action across multiple fronts. Simultaneous. Deep within their crystalline structures, the Zylthana analyze the patterns of human activity. Something is coming. Something organized on a scale they haven't seen before. The humans call it Phoenix, reports the intelligence consciousness. The significance is unclear, but the coordination is unprecedented. Increase surveillance. Orders the military consciousness. Identify their command centers. Eliminate their leadership. The Great Migration approaches, reminds the prophet consciousness. We cannot afford delays. Then we must end this quickly, decides the military consciousness. Initiate final protocol. Throughout the world, Zylthana structures begin to change. Crystalline formations realign. Energy patterns shift. The invasion is entering its final phase. Humanity's time is running out. In the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, alarms blare as sensors detect massive energy spikes across the globe. What's happening? Diaz demands, his eyes fixed on the displays showing Zylthana positions. They're changing, Elena reports, her fingers flying across interfaces as she analyzes the data. Their structures are realigning. Energy output is increasing exponentially. Powering weapons? Kim asks, already reaching for his weapon. Worse, Elena says, her expression grim. They're accelerating the terraforming process. Atmospheric conversion is increasing. Oceanic transformation is intensifying. Diaz stares at the displays, understanding dawning. They're ending it quickly. Around the command center, personnel work frantically, trying to complete Operation Phoenix before it's too late. The plan is audacious, desperate, a coordinated attack on key Zylthana nodes using a combination of human and reverse-engineered alien technology. We need more time, Elena says, her voice tight with urgency. The harmonic resonance devices aren't synchronized yet. Time is the one thing we don't have, Diaz counters, his mind calculating possibilities. Initiate the attack sequence. Now. But the synchronization isn't perfect, Elena protests. The effectiveness will be reduced by at least 40%. 40% of something is better than 100% of nothing, Diaz says firmly. Execute Operation Phoenix. As the order is transmitted to resistance cells across the globe, Diaz allows himself a moment of reflection. They've fought for 3 months, lost so many, sacrificed everything. Now comes the final gambit. The last roll of the dice. Around the world, human resistance fighters activate their devices, targeting the SCI-FI structures with harmonic resonance designed to disrupt the aliens' quantum communication network. For a moment it seems to be working. The alien structures flicker and falter, their energy fields destabilizing. Then, something unexpected happens. The SCI-FI structures begin to pulse with a new energy pattern, one that counteracts the human attack. The harmonic resonance devices overload, exploding in showers of sparks. It's not working, Elena reports, her voice filled with disbelief. They've adapted, anticipated our attack. Diaz watches in horror as the SCI-FI structures not only recover but intensify their energy output. The terraforming process accelerates beyond anything they've seen before. They knew, Kim realizes, his expression grim. They knew about Operation Phoenix. How, Diaz asks. Though he suspects the answer. Communication, Elena says, her voice barely a whisper. They've been intercepting our communications all along, letting us think we were making progress. The realization hits Diaz like a physical blow. Everything they've done, every sacrifice, every victory, it was all part of the SCI-FI plan. A carefully orchestrated deception to give humanity hope before crushing it completely. They're not just invaders, Diaz says, his voice filled with despair. They're sadists, playing with their food before consuming it. As if in response to his words, the command center shudders violently. Alarms blare as emergency systems engage. We're under attack, Kim shouts, grabbing for a weapon. Direct assault. Diaz turns to the main monitor, which shows the security camera feeds. SCI-FI beings are moving through the facility, their forms shifting between solid and liquid states, passing through walls as if they weren't there. The entire operation was a trap, Elena realizes, her scientific mind struggling to process the tactical brilliance of their enemy. They let us build our resistance, coordinate our efforts, believing we had a chance, all to identify our key personnel and eliminate us in a single stroke. Diaz reaches for the self-destruct mechanism, knowing what's at stake. The knowledge in this facility, the plans, the technology, it cannot fall into SCI-FI hands. It's been an honor, he says to his team, his voice steady despite the despair threatening to overwhelm him. As the first SCI-FI being materializes in the command center, Diaz presses the detonator. But nothing happens. The self-destruct mechanism has been disabled. Your resistance was amusing, echoes in their minds. The telepathic communication filled with contempt. But the game is over. The SCI-FI being advances toward them, its form somehow conveying satisfaction. Your species has been an interesting diversion, but the Great Migration approaches, and this world must be prepared. Diaz stands tall, refusing to show fear. You may win this battle, he says, knowing the being can understand him. But humanity will never surrender. We are not seeking your surrender, the SCI-FI responds. We are seeking your extinction. As the alien being lunges, Diaz's last thought is of hope, not for himself, but for humanity. For the resilience that has allowed our species to survive and thrive against impossible odds. The SCI-FI may have won this battle, but the war for Earth is far from over. In the depths of space, something approaches. Not the SCI-FI Great Migration, but something else. Something unexpected.